In the winter of 1959, a group of 9 experienced mountaineers met with a mysterious death while embarking on a daring journey across the Ural Mountains in Russia. Their tent was slashed from the inside, their bodies showed strange injuries, radiation traces were found on their clothing, and many unexplained details turned this case into a subject of thousands of theories. In this video, we will dive into the shocking details, the theories surrounding the incident, and the reasons why this event remains an unsolved mystery to this day. In January 1959, a group of 9 young mountaineers, mostly students and alumni from the Ural Polytechnic Institute, set off on an ambitious expedition to the Ural Mountains. All were experienced climbers, certified level 2, aiming for level 3, the highest rank in the field. Their goal was the peak of Ural Mountains, one of the harshest mountains in Sverdlovsk. Despite forecasts of severe weather, they felt confident with their detailed plans and meticulous preparation. The team, led by Igor Dyatlov, an enthusiastic engineer, included Zenaida Kolmogorova, Rustem Slobodin, Yuri Doroshenko, Yuri Krivonyshenko, Lyudmila Dubinina, Alexander Kolovatov, Semyon Zolotaryov, Yuri Yudin, and Nikolai Thibault-Brignoles. They carried tents, climbing gear, cameras, journals, and enough food for several weeks. Each member was driven not only to explore nature, but also to challenge themselves in extreme conditions. On January 23, 1959, they left Sverdlovsk by train to Ivdel, then traveled by truck to Vizhai, the last settlement before entering the mountains. Here, they rested for a night, checking their gear and mental state before the challenging road ahead. On January 25th, they officially began their journey. However, difficulties arose early on. One member, Yuri Yudin, suffered from chronic arthritis. After traveling a short distance, he experienced severe pain and had to turn back to Vizhai. This decision, though heartbreaking, saved his life, making Yuri Yudin the only survivor of the expedition. The others continued without knowing they were about to step into one of the greatest mysteries in human history. Based on the group's journal entries and photographs from the camera found at the scene, the following days of their journey seemed to go smoothly. They laughed, teased each other, sang, and enjoyed the challenging expedition. After the first days of the journey, the mountaineers continued toward Ural Mountains, but the weather worsened. On February 1st, they began facing heavy snow, strong winds, and limited visibility. The group accidentally lost their way. Instead of continuing toward the summit, they went too far and set up camp on the dangerous slopes of Kholat Syakhl, known as Dead Mountain. This decision would later prove to be disastrous. With extreme weather conditions, they had no choice but to camp there, even though it was not an ideal resting spot. They pitched their tent on a sloping area, difficult to access, making their stay inconvenient and exhausting. Predictions about the weather and altitude indicated this was a highly risky decision. Soon after setting up camp, something strange happened. Their tent was slashed from the inside. Experts later analyzed that the tent being cut from within could have been due to extreme fear or panic in the face of an unidentified threat. The reason they went outside in -30°C weather without proper clothing or shoes remains an unsolved mystery. Tracks left in the snow after they abandoned the camp showed they walked in a single file down the slope, which was entirely inconsistent with the behavior of people fleeing. If they had truly been threatened, they would have scattered in different directions, but they moved in a straight line, as if they were being guided or under some kind of control. This raises further suspicion and confusion about the incident. The footprints showed some were barefoot or wearing no shoes at all, while the temperatures were freezing, leading to a high risk of death from hypothermia. This led to unanswered questions, as in a panic-stricken situation, the group would not have acted so uniformly. The incident not only confused the authorities, but also sparked a large debate among the public and experts, as the exact cause of their departure from the tent in such harsh conditions without proper preparation remains unexplained. After a search operation in harsh weather, the bodies of the Dyatlov group members were found scattered around the campsite. Each body showed strange and unusual injuries, leaving investigators perplexed and unable to offer a clear explanation. Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko were found near a cedar tree in a very poor state. They wore very little clothing, and their bodies showed burns and bruises. There were signs that they may have inflicted injuries on themselves, raising questions about their mental state and panic before their deaths. Officially, the cause of death was confirmed as hypothermia, but the marks on their bodies suggested something beyond just the cold. Igor Dyatlov's body was found nearby, showing signs of a struggle. Experts noted that he had likely faced an extremely tense situation, leading to death from hypothermia. The injuries on his body suggested a fight or dispute before his death, which made the event even more puzzling and unclear. Zenaida Kolmogorova, another member, was found with bruises and signs of a struggle, indicating she fought against a threat before dying. The cause of her death was hypothermia, though it seemed an accident occurred prior, complicating the determination of what really happened. Rustam Slobodin was found with a serious skull fracture, indicating he had suffered a strong blow, possibly due to disorientation in the harsh conditions. The cause of his death was hypothermia, though there were signs of a severe incident before he passed away. Lyudmila Dubinina was a particularly unusual case with severe injuries. She had lost her eyes and tongue, and several ribs were broken. Doctors confirmed that her cause of death was heart hemorrhage. Her injuries could not be fully explained by hypothermia, further deepening the mystery. Semyon Zolotaryov also had broken ribs and lost his eyes. Though his cause of death was confirmed as hypothermia, there were signs that he had been subjected to strong force, which experts could not ignore in their search for answers. Alexander Kolevatov was found with a broken neck and missing eyebrows, showing signs of a strong force on his body. Like the other members, his cause of death was hypothermia. Finally, Nikolai Thibault-Brignot was found with a severe skull fracture, and the cause of his death was attributed to blunt force trauma, not from a human source. The findings of the Dyatlov group's bodies contain many bizarre details that experts could not explain satisfactorily. Some bodies had unusual injuries, such as broken bones without surrounding soft tissue damage, and missing body parts like eyes and tongues. These injuries did not match natural causes like hypothermia or typical accidents, making the case even more perplexing. Additionally, traces of radiation were found on the clothing of some victims. This raised suspicions about external factors, possibly related to weapon testing or even supernatural intervention. The Dyatlov Pass area, where the bodies were discovered, also became a hotspot for theories that could not be explained by modern science. All these details remain part of a vast mystery that has yet to be officially solved. Over the years, the Dyatlov Pass incident has given rise to many strange and dubious hypotheses. The first theory suggests an attack by the Mansi, a local indigenous tribe. Many believe the group was attacked by the Mansi due to cultural conflicts or misunderstandings. However, there was insufficient evidence to support this theory. The injuries on the victims' bodies did not show signs of weapons or intentional attacks. Additionally, no strange footprints or other evidence of Mansi presence were found near the scene. Another theory involved an avalanche. This could explain the group's rush to flee, but there were no signs of an avalanche in the area. The victims also did not have soft tissue injuries consistent with an avalanche, making this theory unconvincing. One strange theory proposed the Yeti, a legendary creature believed to exist in the Ural Mountains. A photo in the group's journal was thought to have captured an image of a strange creature. However, lacking concrete evidence like footprints or physical proof, this theory could not be verified. Another theory related to extraterrestrials, especially after reports of strange lights in the sky on the night the group perished. Furthermore, the discovery of radiation traces on the victims' clothing led some to suspect extraterrestrial involvement. However, this theory is highly supernatural and lacks scientific evidence to prove its validity. A theory called the paradoxical undressing phenomenon was also suggested. Hypothermia often causes a sensation of heat, making those affected want to remove clothing. This could partly explain why the group left their tent without wearing enough clothing. However, this does not account for the severe injuries and the clear efforts by the victims to stay warm. Ultrasonic wind was another theory, suggesting that powerful winds with ultrasonic frequencies could have induced extreme panic, causing the group to flee in confusion. While this theory could explain the group's odd behavior, it fails to explain the suspicious injuries and the coordinated actions of the members. Lastly, a more realistic theory involves a Soviet cover-up during the Cold War. Some believe the Dyatlov group may have accidentally discovered secret Soviet weapon tests, leading to intervention and an attack. Some speculated that the loud noises and unexplained injuries could have been caused by a weapons test. However, no solid evidence supports this theory, and the Soviet government provided no information to clarify the incident. None of the above theories fully explain all aspects of the issue. Strange details such as the tent being cut from the inside, the footprints forming a straight line, unexplained injuries, and radiation signs on the clothing remain unexplained. To this day, despite numerous theories and speculations, the final answer to what truly happened at Dyatlov Pass remains unresolved. After the incident, Dyatlov Pass was named after Igor Dyatlov, the leader of the hiking group. This name not only became associated with the tragic event, but also turned into a symbol of one of the greatest mysteries in the history of mountaineering.